You know, I've never been attentive like this in my life in a very long time.
This one, you'll be a good student.
Because I was shaken last night when I heard that behind the backs of Ghanaian people, under the cover of darkness, when all of us were going to have our dinner, that was when we saw flyers that this wicked government has imposed a whooping, 1 Ghana cedi, on every liter of fuel that we buy. For proper context for the Ghanaian people, we understand fuel purchase in gallons. So I prefer to use the gallons.
Right.
The fact of the matter is that last night, this wicked, insensitive government imposed about 4 cedis to 4 cedi 50 pesos. 4 cedi 50 pesos on every gallon.
400% increase.
On every gallon of fuel that we buy. That is fact. You see, we find ourselves in a situation where we're saddled. And we simply have on our hands, or we have a clueless, everlasting, incompetent bunch of arrogant braggarts who have just come themselves into power. I told you here the last time, and he's had 17 minutes of unhindered preaching. And I pray he gives me that. So please take note of the time. We prefer to stay on the NDC and the fiduciary relationship they've built with the Ghanaian people. I will not even go into their history. We have a finance minister who talks so much, and at this vetting was asked, all these things you are saying, you are surely going to have revenue shortfalls. And there are issues in this country that need to be dealt with. How are you going to be able to raise revenue to deal with these things and make sure that the Ghanaian people don't suffer for it? And doing so was one of the things that were brought up. This is his response. And I'll simply quote what he said. He said that we don't need more taxes to raise revenue. That's the finance minister.
But why are you quoting this one?
Enjoy Online.
Right.
January 13th, 2025. And I watched it. The video is also here. I can give it to you to play. It was at his vetting. Then he goes on to give us a long lecture about the number of years of experience he's had in public office, in the economy of this country, and how he believes that we don't need more taxes to be able to raise revenue, and that he and his government were going to raise the needed revenue to do all the things they promised. I remember his vetting. His vetting was one of the vettings that I sat down to really, consume. And this man really gave us a very long lecture and told us that he doesn't think, there is no way he was going to even go into the issue of taxes. And that he rather thinks that we should remove all the taxes he called nuisance taxes. And that even if all those taxes are removed, and I remember correctly, that the minority asked him that digital venture is the future. And E-Levy is only the base, starting to try and ensure that when we get to the future, we'll be ready. And so if you remove this E-Levy and all of its revenue gap that you're going to have, how are you going to deal with it? He said, no, forget it. I remember again correctly that Afenyo Markins put it to him that from what you have done, you are surely going to introduce new taxes. He said, no, you and your party were incompetent. And that is why you had those taxes. And we would run this economy, run this country, fulfill all our promises without introducing any new tax. I am hurt this morning. I am pained. I am really, really pained. I am sad. There is nothing, there is no gravest offense in this world than betrayal of trust. None. None in this world, no sin in this world beats betrayal of trust. That people entrust their lives and their future in your care, believing that you will live at least up to your own words. Forget eventualities. Forget things that will come along the line, but what you told them. Then we wake up 5 months into your tenure. You come and tell us that you have brought the burden of Ghanaians down. That is what he's saying. That he has brought the burden of Ghanaians down. And so we should, in the words of the majority leader, Mahama Yariga, Honorable, we should accept just 1 cedi. He calls it 1 cedi per. 1 cedi per. That's what he calls it. That's what he says we should give them. To fix a situation that was not there until they came. To fix a situation that was not there until they came to office. 8 years of the MPP in government, this country had stable power for 8 years, irrespective of what the challenges could be at the time. Irrespective of what the situation was, there was power. 8 years. We had crisis for 8 weeks. What burden has been reduced, Nana? What burden? Today, we buy cement, a bag of cement that used to sell between 85 cedis to 90 cedis. We buy it for 130 cedis. That is the burden they have reduced. Today, tomatoes that was selling for 2 for 5 cedis is selling for 1 for 10 cedis. That is the burden they have reduced. And he tells us that he reduced burden. Burden has gone down. And so everybody is doing well in this country. All your viewers watching, this country is doing fantastically well. When you and I know that in this country, it is not the dollar to CD exchange rate that impacts the things we buy on our market. You and I know. It is the fuel pricing. Why are you doing this to us? Why? When I call this government a scam government, a settings and packaging government, this is what I mean. They knew from the get-go that the things they were doing were just facade to let the Ghanaian people feel that they have brought some miracles into this country and that they are removing taxes and still they'll be able to do the things. They knew. They knew that in the month of May, getting into June, they were going to introduce taxes to make up for the shortfalls. Otherwise, what sense is there for you to come and tell us that E-Levy, which is 1%, so if you buy anything at 100 cedis by choice, if you decide to use electronic transfer by choice, you pay how much? 1 cedi.
1 cedi.
You tell us that it is a burden, it's a nuisance tax. Remember, not every Ghanaian needs to use electronic transaction. You have to choose. You can decide to work and go, you don't pay. You call it a nuisance. And then you say, you are removing it, we should praise you. Then you remove a tax that was not even in force. Emission tax that was not even in force. You say, we should clap for you. Then, what is the other tax they remove? Betting tax. That is not even being utilized or consumed by even 1% of the population. How many Ghanaians in this country watching you, who killed to vote for you, actually engage in betting, let alone be affected or impacted by betting tax? We should clap for you. Then 2 months down the line, 2 months down the line after asking us to clap for you for removing taxes that do not have so much impact on us, especially betting tax and emission tax, you come and introduce 4 cedis per gallon of fuel that we buy, and you tell us it's just 4 cedis. And that it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. Did emission tax matter? Was it a big deal? Did you ever pay emission tax? Did he ever pay betting tax in his life? But he was making noise and screaming over it. Why do you betray the trust of people in this manner? Why? Why do you betray the trust of people in this manner? Then he tells us, oh no, it's 3.7 billion that we have to, debt that we have to pay. And this is debt saddled on us by the MPP government. You left 2.5 billion debt in the energy sector. 2.5 billion debt. That is how much you left in the energy sector.
And you increase it.
8 years. We sat with a 2.5 billion debt and still kept power on. Without increasing any taxes on the Ghanaian people to buy fuel for the energy sector. Why do you do this to the people? Then you come and tell us that, they should tell us for 8 years they didn't do any investment in the energy sector. They didn't do anything capacity. Absolute falsehood.
Did you?
In the year 2017, we added 603 megawatts of power capacity installed. AXA 188, Aboagye 180, Car Powership 235. In 2018, we installed 490, AXA Phase 2 110, Send Power 360, Me Energy 20. In 2019, we installed TT2PP 7, Amandi 203, Jensa 29. In 2020, Early Power installed 144, We Solar was introduced 10, VRA Solar 7.5, and then another one, Chachadru Hydro. That gave us 161 in 2020. In 2021, Damine Jensa, that gave us 28. Blue Solar added 41. VRA Solar added 10, that was 79. In 2023, VRA Solar Kalio Phase 2 added 15. B Power Floating added 4. That was 19 in 2023. And then in 2024, Early Power added 56. So you see, if you come and sit on TV and
you won't correct him.
You make these plays, you had 17 minutes of uninterrupted. You can make your correction when you get a chance. And then you make such, falsehood, complete falsehood. Yeah. It's sad. Not only is it sad, it is painful and hurtful to the people who trusted you and your government. That is not all. Energy, the investment we did in ensuring that these installed capacity were added. This government, MPP government, made a lot of investment in the distribution. And the last time I was here, I listed all of them here on this same show. And I don't want to belabor the point. Several of them, in terms of distribution and transmission. Now, we all know what the challenge of this country's energy situation is. The distributor is one of the biggest challenges. Your energy minister sat on TV, met the press, and said that the MPP government was incompetent. He doesn't think that we need to do anything extraordinary to fix the energy crisis. And I'm quoting him. He said, in 100 days, I will block and stop the losses at ECG, make it profitable to fix the energy situation. This is the energy minister. It has been close to 160 days. You haven't been able to cut the losses in ECG, and you are adding on taxes, and you are telling us it's just 1 cedi, and you are using some absurd justification, completely absurd justification to the people, and telling us that in 150 days or 160 days, you have made our lives and made Ghana like heaven, and so you can afford to come and impose taxes on us, and we should shut up without saying anything. We shouldn't speak because you have made our life easy. You have reduced burden. The Ghanaian person is doing well, so much that there is gold on the street. And so you can afford to come and add 1 cedi. What is the logic in removing 1 cedi from 100 cedis E-Levy transaction and bringing 1 cedi on a 12 cedi mandatory transaction?
But the argument is that if they were paying for 16 cedis and now it's 13 cedis, it's still better.
Why then are you telling us that you are reducing our burden? You see, when you make a covenant, you must stick to the covenant. You came to tell us that you don't need to bring taxes. You told us. And then you said we should even clap for you. Even this morning he said that we should clap for him. That they have removed so-called nuisance taxes. In the last 16 years, have you seen a nuisance tax as a nuisance as this one? In the last 16 years.
Would you admit that?
In the last 16 years, have you seen any tax as a nuisance as this levy, D-Levy, that the NDC have introduced?
That's what you're calling it.
But that is what it is. They said it. It says to fix Dumso. D-Levy, that is what it is. And then they say they have removed nuisance taxes and that the MPP introduced so much taxes. The MPP is a government that in one budget removed between 16 to 21 taxes in one budget. Are you not aware? 21 taxes were removed in one budget by the MPP. I would not have been having this conversation but for their own words. That is why I'm raising issues. Otherwise, government is responsible for raising revenue and expending. But you see, when you brag and talk plenty and you say big things and you turn around to come and do the same thing that you spoke against, people will be hurt. And I am pained. I won't lie to you. Let me tell you, you can bring the city to 5 cedi. Its positive impact on the Ghanaian people will not be felt as much as increasing fuel by 1 cedi. I am telling you that for a fact. Dollar has moved from 14.7 to 11 cedis today. 3 cedis have been removed from dollar. The impact is not going to be felt as this 1 cedi. You wait and see how the impact of this 1 cedi is going to be felt on the Ghanaian people. Why? Because the woman who has her goods, who goes from Medina to go and buy her plantain from Adoso, when you sit in that car from Medina to Adoso, the driver is going to impose additional cost on that.